Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Wind Down Fridays with Give a Sister a Hug. I'm your girl, Author Erica. I have my fabulous co-host on with me, Author Kim, today. And you're tuning in to October, this is the Wind Down Fridays with Give a Sister a Hug, Breast Cancer and Domestic Violence edition. So all this month, we're going to be bringing you shows from survivors that's been through domestic violence or even went through their fair share of breast cancer. So today, we have our good friend on with us today, Jana. She's going to share her story. And Jana, I want to say thank you for allowing us here at Give a Sister a Hug to share your story on our platform. So take it away.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it started when I met him in 2010. We were both in drug court together. So it was a kind of a difficult program to get through. I mean, you had to ask permission to leave the county, to be around certain even family members. It was kind of crazy. So we graduated the same day. It was awesome. It was almost too good to be true. You know, you're thinking, how is this possible? He's wonderful. He likes to shop and help clean, and he was great with my kids. He didn't have kids. And anyway, so it was about 1 year afterwards where actually I should have known. It was like a month into it where his jealousy started, and over a male friend. And I had boundaries then because I'd been in a previously bad relationship. And I set up my boundaries. No, he's my friend. You're gonna have to get used to it, you know, that kind of thing. Well, slowly those boundaries I had started breaking down. And I found a place to move into after we graduated. And I should have known too, he kind of just like disappeared on moving day and then moved himself in once, you know, I had all the help. My mom was even there. And we never talked about him moving in. It just, he's like, hey, I'll pay you to help clean out this room he was renting. And I was like, well, where are you moving? He's all, well, I figured we could just stay together. So it was never with my consent. It was just kind of pushed upon. But all this I didn't realize at the time. And so the first year was great. Worked as a team with the kids, softball, soccer, all those things. And my little one at the time was a year when I met Brandon. And they bonded really quickly. And so it was like perfect. I was going to school to be a drug and alcohol counselor. I got to do that while he worked. It was just awesome. And then after my daughter's second birthday, we had a birthday party. Well, he picked up some alcohol, you know, and relapsed, and I had my boundaries. I found dope like a week later, kicked him out.
Oh, wow.
I had my boundaries then, you know, because I know I wasn't one of those people that could be a weekend warrior kind of user, you know, I just can't. Well, so he moved out and then he stopped using, moved back in. And then it wasn't until I requested all the police reports from the city we lived in Fullerton. And before, my daughter called 911 in November of 2012, and because he pushed me down in front of all my kids. And it wasn't until I requested all the call logs that there was 3 calls prior for domestic disturbance from our arguing, you know, like neighbors calling and stuff, but nothing ever happened. Anyway, he left before the police got there. There was an emergency protective order issued. And of course, CPS came out, you know, since my daughter's the one that called 911, but I had followed through with the permanent order on my own. And so, you know, they didn't punish me for that. Well, shortly, a couple months later, I found out I was pregnant. And so he ended up getting charged with that 3 months later. They didn't file charges for 3 months. So he got charged with that and some other cases, like a sales case, whole bunch of stuff going on, 3 cases. And he hired a good lawyer. So since I was pregnant, you know, I was sober and he was getting arrested outside the house for like drugs and stuff. They didn't even consider the violations yet. But I ended up going to court with him. Asking for a peaceful contact order because I was pregnant. He was sober. He got sober for a little bit, and then relapsed. So my whole pregnancy, I had 2 threatened miscarriages. You know, I woke up in a pool of blood. He wasn't there, of course, because he was using. Another one, like, you know, bunch of fluid came out. So they're threatened miscarriages. They said it was probably from the stress during my pregnancy. Because as it got moved on, you know, he threatened to kill me. He would send people to my house to be outside my garage door. I reported those violations because it was a violation of peaceful contact order. Nothing ever came of. They charged 1 violation I mean, he's still going to court on that. That's one of his 19 open cases, is still from 2013, violation of protective order. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Oh, wow.
It's very interesting. And it didn't turn out for a while. I didn't know until 2018 he was an informant for that police department, and that's why they were protecting him. But so my whole pregnancy stressed out.
Okay, wait. That just
I'll get there. When 2018 comes, I'll tell you.
Okay.
So this is like 2013.
Wow. Okay.
And I mean,
wow.
I was stressed out more than I've ever been in my life. And that November, so I was due in January of 14. He was arrested with it was like almost like a Breaking Bad. He had a motorhome parked outside in red. They found I guess he even took my picture and put a name on an ID, like tons of charges, sales case, everything. But he got sober after that arrest. And I was like, what, 7 months pregnant then, or 8 months pregnant. And he was sober. He was sober through the birth. So I was like, okay, it's his first child. He was great. And for 2 years, he still fought those cases, the sales case and everything, but he was sober and everything was fine. And on our daughter together, second birthday, we relapsed. Both of us did.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was all bad, of course. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay. So we both had relapse, and in between that time, it got progressively worse. When we first met, my oldest was 10, my son was 7, and like Addison was 1 or 2, 1 when we first met. So there was numerous calls. Like, in fact, I have a spreadsheet. There's 36 calls made and reports made from 2012 to 2000, well, through June of this year. And but they never really did anything. Like, even the peaceful contact order, call the police. I had one officer literally show up on my front porch and say, call him. And I'm like, my phone's dead. He called him from his phone and said, stop harassing her, stop threatening her. If you need anything from the house, come now, or I'm off till Sunday. And called him and said, stop doing these things to her. That's it. Didn't pull him over, didn't issue a warrant, didn't even file anything. And that's when I knew, like, what there's something wrong. So fast forward to 2017, and I was still using at that time. We both were, so which made it really bad. He wasn't as much physically abusive as he was verbally, and the threats. Like, he made 4 welfare checks when I was ignoring him. We had our order. I had 3 restraining orders at one point, and I would ignore him. So he'd call the police saying, oh, her and her kids aren't answering the phone. So they do a welfare check. But there was a time they came that he called, said whatever he said, and they came in my house illegally, which was fine. But I got a charge of possession for something he left out. He told them where it was, in the garage somewhere, and I got that possession charge, which obviously wasn't good. But so the officer that came in that day, said, well, if you help us out to get him, we can make your charge go away. And it's only misdemeanor here in California now for possession of, drugs. And I was like, yeah, whatever, buddy. And I just kept it. I had his number and the other officer's number he wanted me to meet with. But I never did that until June of 2018. He started getting crazy. I mean, like, seriously, he had people like circling my house. Someone put a rat in my barbecue and put like a tablecloth over it. So yeah, I went to barbecue and I turned it on, lifted up the thing, and a rat jumped out. And so the tablecloth was over, and in the holes in the side of your barbecue,
right?
So it couldn't get out. And it was a clean rat, so it wasn't like one climbed up in there. It was kind of like stuck in there. So weird stuff, and just and our daughter was actually diagnosed with autism because her behaviors were really gnarly, and I attributed that to my pregnancy being really stressful.
Right.
Anyway, so I text message, and I have these messages. I found them just this year to that officer that wanted me to become an informant to get to Brandon, saying he's crazy. Please help me. He's all, you need to go get a restraining order. So I went to a courthouse again. I was denied a restraining order. Less than 3 weeks. I was ignoring him all day because he was crazy. And I sent he sent me a message with pictures of like hundreds of things of ammo. and 2 bulletproof vests. He's like, hey, why didn't you sell these? I'm all sorry. No, I didn't respond to that yet. I messaged that officer with those pictures. He said, I want that ammo, because that's when I knew he was serious. Like, you know, something was going to happen. Well, I told him, you know, sorry, stolen things aren't my get down. You know, I don't do that kind of stuff. And the officer messaged me back saying, I want that ammo, make it happen. And before that could even happen, because I was ignoring him, he sent me a Marco Polo video. You know, it's an app where it's like a walkie-talkie, but through video, saying, I'm going to kill you, bitch. And he was outside my house. My mom happened to be there, was sleeping with my kids. So I called 911. I'm on the phone with them. They actually catch him right down the street from my house. And as the officer that was talking to me said, we can't do anything because he didn't say how he was going to kill you. I said, we have like, that was what the peaceful contact order. Are you serious? And then the radio came in saying, oh, we got him. He has ammo in his van. So they arrest him. They OR him, call me and say, do you know where he's at? And I said, yeah, and I had gone to a hotel that night in case he did get out, you know, with my mom and kids. And they said, do you know where he's at? And I said, yeah, he wants me to pick him up. He's walking down the street by my house, you know, and he says he has a bag full of illegal stuff. Well, they end up finding him, follow him to a storage unit with even more ammo. And a guy that showed up there saying, yeah, he asked me to hold on to this until him and his wife weren't fighting anymore. So he's a convicted felon, first of all. And with the restraining order, they arrest him again and OR him again. And by then he's like,
ORing him?
Because this is where I found out he became an informant. Okay, so that's why they wanted me. He stopped talking for a minute. That's why they came after me, wanted me to turn on him, which I didn't do up until I knew he was going to do something, especially after the ammo. That's when I reached out to them, especially. And I told the officer with the ammo that I had sent the pictures of that day, I said, why is he getting out? Why is there not a violation of protective order being charged?
Right.
And I said, I want an emergency protective order because it was over the weekend. He's all, no judge would grant that. And I have these text messages. No attorney will do anything to help me with those 2 police officers. He's all, no judge would grant that. I'm all, what do you mean? He just threatened to kill me and you guys found him with a shitload of ammo.
Right.
Right? Like, so I went that next Monday, got the restraining order, and I text messaged this officer. I got the order. He's all, meet me at in the lobby of the police station because you're supposed to give them a copy. I did that. I handed it to him through the glass. He was in plain clothes, so I know what he looks like. He violated 3 days later. I went down to the police station, reported that. They wrote down the wrong police report number and then said they had no record of the protective order when I handed it inside their lobby to them. So I was upset, obviously. Right. And I ended up moving. I'd been living at that house for 8 years where I lived. Well, I ended up moving to Anaheim to stay within my kids' school district, but a different city. Obviously, I didn't like that city anymore after 6 years of a bunch of bullshit and them not doing anything. Every time he did get a violation of protective order, he got a letter in the mail stating, show up to court on this day, you're being charged with a violation. Like, what the fuck? Really? Okay. So I move. He finds me in 1 week. And he actually assaulted me, which was on video 6 months later. And they show I was walking away from him and he pushed me down and kicked me in the stomach. All caught on video.
Oh, wow.
He pushed me down by my hair, right? Well, 6 months later, they still hadn't filed charges. So I'm on the phone with the domestic violence detective. On the phone with him, my son was home from school sick. And I'm like, why is he not being charged with this? You guys have a video. There's no like questioning anything. And I said, he's at my door right now, pounding. I said, do you hear him? I said it 3 times. Officer never acknowledged me saying that. So I thought maybe he was sending someone over to come get him. Because I was on the phone with them when he comes pounding on my door. Nope, that never happened. And then there's been like 8, 9, 10, I think like 12 reports since 2019. Last 2020, like it's all just craziness in between all this time, right? Numerous reports, police not finding him, whatever. Well, I called 4 times in 1 week. And he actually assaulted me one of those times too. He threw a lighter. I went to go in my house and I turned back and he threw a big heavy metal torch lighter at my face and it hit my ear and broke on my ear. went to police station because I didn't want the police upsetting my kids. It was in the middle of the day. I left them with my son. I just found out they didn't file. The city attorney didn't want to file, even though I called 4 times that week. Him threatening to kill me. I submitted. Okay, so that was 2020. July 10th of 2020, she was 11 at the time, attempted suicide. And found her like 5:30 in the morning. She's rushed to the hospital because she's unconscious. And as I'm there with her, he's still harassing me, not believing anything that's going on. So I'm there. I asked for the police to be called because it was a bunch of like stuff on her phone, you know, inappropriate things from tons of people. I knew she had been depressed because of COVID, you know, and I'd been in contact with her pediatrician. But she's sent to the mental hospital for 2 weeks. And while she's there, you know, she is saying how the stress at home, Brandon coming to the house, calling me, and it's all in like 500-page reports from Chalk Hospital. Ex coming over, calling mom whore, bitch, cunt, all those names, right, in front of the kids. As well as our daughter together, whose behavior is really like, it was off the hook. Her behavior at home was so different than, she's in a special ed class, but they won't treat what they don't see.
Right.
They see her social awkwardness at school and stuff, but she still is in special needs class. Him calling me names in front of her school bus, you know, that comes to pick her up. It's crazy. And then CPS comes in and says, you know, we're going to charge you with failure to protect due to domestic violence. I said, no. Wait a minute. First of all, I've made 5 calls in the last 2 months. And the police have done nothing. I said, if you want to see all my calls I've made to Fullerton when I lived at the last city, I'll show you. I said, I have 2 protective orders right now, and he's never been arrested on one of them. Not once. Right. And so I said, they looked into it and they said, okay, we're not going to give you that charge. You're correct. I said, now that you know, what are you guys going to do about it? And they said, oh, we work alongside the police. We don't do anything. Okay, whatever. So I had to sign a safety plan saying I would not use drugs because I admitted to the social worker at the hospital that I had been using, as well as described everything with what was going on with him. My own family didn't believe me. You know, I called my brother at one point and was telling him what he did. He's all, you know what? You're just spun out. Stop playing the victim. Because Brandon was calling him, telling him stuff that wasn't true. And like, he does crazy shit. Like, I have a video I submitted to the police of him shitting on my front porch because I wouldn't let him in my house in front of the camera and literally wiping his ass and walking away.
Wait a minute.
No joke. Out of everything he's done, that was the weirdest. Okay.
Wait a minute. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So wow. Yeah, that's crazy because
That's weird,
I mean that is very crazy for somebody to literally come shit on your porch, literally.
Yeah.
Like, we just
I made a
shitting
TikTok with the
It's not like my cousin shit in my auntie house in the middle of the floor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. He squatted, faced the camera as he's shitting, and flipped me off in the camera.
Oh, so it was
okay,
so
okay, yeah. Oh yeah, because I wouldn't let him in my house.
Okay. Yeah.
So you know, I had a meeting with like CPS and I told them, look, I need help, but I need a detox. I can't just stop, you know, I was using meth. I need a detox for the rest. I know it's been like 4 years, right? I told them what I needed. At the same time I signed the safety plan, I called the police if Brandon came. Well, he came 2 weeks later, flipped me off, and I was taking out my trash cans and he's like, call the police, you stupid bitch. Go ahead, I'm right here. So I did. They actually arrested him for stalking because he was parked down the street watching my house and had drugs on him, but they weren't his, he said, you know, of course. It's the first time he was ever arrested. When they asked me if I was still using it, I said, yes, I told you I'm trying to find a detox. I can't just with 3 kids be okay and function. Well, they ended up taking the kids out of my care. So yeah. So instead of, even though he violated, I did everything right on that part. And I was honest with them about me still using. But I chose to leave my home because my daughter's aunt had flown in from Hawaii when she attempted suicide. And so I chose to leave the home and she stayed here with the girls. I was removed from the house for about 40 days until they investigated talking to my pediatrician. She's been my pediatrician for 16 years. She's like, no, I know about the domestic violence. I know about everything that's been going on. I know about Jana's using. She was in contact with me regarding Addison's, you know, mental health. So it wasn't
Right.
like I was ignoring it. So I didn't get the failure to protect, you know, to her emotional needs. So I was able to come back home, which was awesome. But in the
Yes.
meantime, this man in the CPS first report where they talked to him, they asked him about his mental status, and he literally said, "Crazy in love" with me.
Okay.
And I was like,
Wait, that's what he
okay,
told the police?
Okay. We don't want
no,
that
and
no more, though.
CPS. It's in
He
the
told
CPS report.
CPS you?
Crazy in love.
Yeah, he's
I was
he's
like, yeah, well,
crazy. He's
so
crazy, outright.
yeah,
He's crazy.
yeah. And
Girl.
so the only time I had contact with him, our daughter together had to go to Chalk because we thought she had COVID. And he's like, oh, I'm going to take a bus there. I said, no, don't come here. It's the only time I responded to him. I will let you know when some, you know, what they say about her because she was really sick, but she didn't have it. So I had a friend call him and tell him. I'd get messages like, and I report them to my CPS social worker and the police, you know, I just spoke to our social worker. She says that she's under the impression we're working on things. You know, can I come by and see you? I love you. I've came to terms with all the fuck ass shit you doomed on me. I forgive you. Let's just do counseling. I was like, what the fuck? So I filed the report on that. I
Yeah.
showed my social worker. I fought because they gave him visitation when all he did was cause emotional harm. October 17th of last year was the one time that he was supposed to do a visit, and I did not answer his phone call, so he threatened me and all this crap, right? Well, the monitor, who is my daughter's aunt, took them to the movies, and he said in front of my daughter he hated my guts and wanted to bash my teeth in, and he hated the dog and the kitten at our house that he's never even met. So my daughter came home crying. She was only 6 at the time. Um, I filed a police report. I filed a report for the city that the movie theater happened in, got a letter from, you know, the monitor. CPS did nothing. He continued to ride by my house, to pretend to be someone else and call me from his own phone number, but say it was someone else. So I just want to see you, come by, you
What
know?
is
No,
wrong
I
with him?
reported it. I reported it all. He's sick. Hey, don't try that Carl's Jr. hamburger. What the fuck? Like, I haven't responded to you in like 4 months. What makes
Right.
you think I'm going to respond to, you know? So
Right.
I filed, I was going to a WTLC as a domestic violence group, right? And I did my PEP classes through there. And they actually did refer me to a legal aid. And that legal aid told me I could file another restraining order trying to take away the visitation since CPS wasn't taking it seriously.
Right.
It was causing her to be distressed. The phone calls, he never listened. He would drop the calls all the time. She'd freak out, and she's violent when she gets mad, you know? I mean, it's just crazy how she is, was, I should say. And so the only time I called him was in December to tell him, you have court today. I'm filing a protective order taking away visitation. He's all, why? And I said, because you caused too much harm, and I hung up, right? Well, that didn't go as planned. I went to family court and they're like, sorry, you have an open CPS case, therefore I have no jurisdiction and I'm taking Peyton off the restraining order. I was like, what?
What?
Yeah, they took her off the restraining order, saying because I had an open CPS case, they had no jurisdiction. That lawyer should have told me that, or so I wouldn't have filed that, you know,
Right.
because
Right.
then she's off
Exactly.
completely.
Exactly.
So I kept fighting with them. When I had him serve the paperwork for that court date, I had someone, a friend of mine, his friend did it, so there's no one he's seen. And he happened to be at a visit with our daughter. It was the only time we can get him down. But I said, just don't do it in front of my daughter. So he goes there at a park and he goes into the restroom. And this guy goes in there and says, Brandon. And he turns around. He's like, you're served, right? He was so pissed off. He left the visit early. And he never did a full visit. I've kept records of every phone call, Zoom call, and every visit. Never did, always left an hour early. Well, later on that night, it was a Saturday night, I get a knock at my door. And I said, who is it? And they said, CPS, emergency worker. I step outside. Yes. She's like, we had a call that you are a drug dealer and a white supremacist gang member.
What?
Now, Mind
Who called
you,
that?
my 11-year old is half Vietnamese. Okay. I was
Okay.
married to a Vietnamese man. My last name was Vu at one time. So it's not like, I said, first of all, he told them that when he lived here, we both sold drugs together. And I said, one, he never lived here. And number two, I don't sell drugs, and nor have I ever sold drugs. She's all okay. And the white supremacist thing, I'm like, she's all, isn't your daughter half Vietnamese? I said, yes. And she's like, yeah, I figured. I said, he was served paperwork today. She's all, I totally understand. I talked to the social worker. He said he left angry. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? But she had to
Right.
come in, talk to my kids. We had just made Christmas cookies or something. And she's like, it's totally unfounded, but he will be getting the charge of failure to protect because he admitted to selling drugs in front of his child. He said, when I lived there, we both did. But he never got that charge, just saying. He still got visitation. He still got all that. And I fought and fought because the social worker that was monitoring, was like, there. Well, no, he left. So a new one came in and refused to meet him in person because of his aggressiveness with him over the phone. They didn't feel safe meeting
Right.
for a visit in public. So
Right.
it took that other social worker came back from whatever special thing he was doing and decided to monitor again. And always wrote these great reports about him, even though my daughter would say, Daddy said he hated you. And he's not supposed to talk about me.
Right.
Um, so I kept fighting. I got my social worker on the phone. I said, I want your supervisor. I want her supervisor. I want a facilitated meeting. I want whoever has any authority on my case
Mm-hmm.
in a meeting. I was
Mm-hmm.
pissed. I was respectful. Okay.
Right.
I was frustrated. I was crying. I was just like, this is bullshit. He causes
Right.
her harm. You even say it's probably a trauma response,
Right.
even though it's a good visit, but it's still causing her emotional harm. They wouldn't do nothing. um I then all of a sudden I had a dirty drug test, right? For morphine. I've never even had surgery. I've never done morphine, never been my thing. And I found out that the testing facility, um, they were accepting bribes from people to have clean tests. So my first thought is he would give his arm and legs to have me fail, right? So I
Right.
asked for a hair follicle test, and she's like, well, we're not paying for that. I said, I'll pay for it. I'm telling you, I was with my mom, came out here to visit. Did not do anything. I said,
Right.
I've never even done an opiate in my life. So I did a hair follicle that goes back 90 days for all drugs, and it was negative. So I was able to prove that because, they were ready to take my kids.
Right.
I think he had something to do with it. And my lawyer told my public defender, said, don't tell me what you just told me, because then they're going to think you're crazy by saying he
Right.
probably paid someone to give you a dirty test. But she's all, I don't doubt it, because no one could stand this guy. He's horrible. And I was fighting with the city attorney because in the city of Anaheim, they're so big that they prosecute their own misdemeanors. Okay. They don't have the
Wow.
DA do it. Yeah, just the misdemeanors. So I was like, first of all, why was him throwing me down and kicking me in the stomach only a misdemeanor? What makes it be a
Right.
felony? Well, so they've prosecuted all the violations. And I was on their ass after that court hearing in December. I said, if anything happens to me or my children, I'm telling you, he's going to kill me. Me and my family will hold you guys responsible. They
Yep.
issued a warrant right away for what happened in October when he caused all that harm at the movie theater and then threatened me too. They issued a warrant, and uh, March 3rd, we went before the judge. And I went with an advocate from that justice center. See, I didn't use the advocates before because they all work together with the police,
Mm-hmm.
the DA, the city attorneys, all in one building. So the police officers are their coworkers. So I felt they weren't doing their job. And if I voice that to them, it's their coworkers. Like they're not going to do
Right.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally was able to utilize the advocate, went to court, and this judge was amazing.
Oh,
Brandon didn't
that's
show up for
good.
court, but his lawyer was there. This all it took was this judge, and I'm super grateful to this judge. So 10 minutes before court was breaking for lunch, she's like, apparently the victim's in here. I'd like to give her a chance to speak. You have about 10 minutes, so you don't have to come back after lunch, right? So I'm up there, and he gets off his bench and stands in front of the two tables to hear me better because they had the plexiglass in front of him. And he's like, you know what, ma'am, we have to break for lunch, but I want to invite you back. I want to hear anything else you have to tell me. So I come back and I finish, and I said he's never been held accountable for almost 10 years. I've had restraining orders. And so his lawyer looks back at me and is like, he's testing clean. What else do you want from him? The judge is like, That's it. I'm issuing a criminal protective order. Ma'am, when's his next visit with your daughter? I said, this Saturday. He's all, no, there won't be. He told the attorney, you tell your client if he's not in here on Friday, I'm going to send the task force after him and they will get him. And I will personally serve him a new protective order if he is not here at 8:00 a.m. on Friday. So I go back on. Oh, and he told me if he violated in any way, whether or not the police did anything or retaliated with CPS again, to come tell his court clerk and he'd handle it. Because he had a personal interest in this case now. Because, you know, he saw the guns. Oh, he got arrested with guns a month after the ammo case, too. And OR'd, okay, convicted felon. So he's all, I don't understand. And you know what?
He was getting OR like they was giving that out for lunch.
Right?
Yeah,
Right? Convicted felon,
like that.
It's crazy. Yeah. So that's because of him working
with him. Yep. That's how he was getting them
and he had
ORs that quick.
Exactly. And he had told me he was involved in a gun theft of 100 guns out of a storage unit. And the ATF saw his van and they told him if he returned the guns, they wouldn't press charges because it's a federal offense then.
That's
and he's returned 60 of the 70.
With them. Yep. He was
that's the one thing he did tell me.
For him.
So that's the one thing he did tell me. And it makes sense because he has 19 open cases now and he's not arrested for any of them. What the hell?
Right. So and he was getting OR like crazy.
Yeah, everyone else would be in prison for like 10 years.
They'd be under the damn jail with all them gun charges, and especially being a convicted fella and have a gun. They would be under the damn jail. He was putting in some work for them people.
He sure was.
Yep. So in your relationship with him, like how many times have you went to the hospital from him hitting you? How many times had you had to visit the hospital?
Oh, well, that's
I chose not to go.
Good. Oh, you chose not to go. Okay.
Yeah, like when he broke the lighter on my ear, I just took the lighter and my ear's still bleeding to the police department because I didn't want my kids to have to hear and see everything. Right. So I drove there and did that. Yeah, I chose not to go. I mean, I had bruises. I have all the pictures of bruises on my stomach or the times I didn't even report it. But it was kind of crazy because, you know, I told them, I said, I reported 4 days in a row and you guys still did nothing. So you want me to keep calling for what? So it can piss them off even more?
Right. Because that's all sound like it was doing every time you piss him off. He'll retaliate with you with CPS. And who want to keep going through that with CPS?
So, or he told me all his friends would come steal all my neighbor's stuff and put it on my front lawn. Like he'd tell me weird things like that. Or I'm gonna get you, bitch. You don't know when you're going to school or the kids' school to pick them up, the grocery store. I'm gonna fucking get you. He's always threatened me like that. And
it's crazy. He was a narcissist. He was a big time narcissist.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, all he did was love me, and I destroyed him.
He was madly in love with you.
Yeah, crazy in love.
Oh, crazy in love.
Yeah, crazy in love now. Yeah.
I highlighted that and showed it to the criminal court judge. I'm all, look, he says he was crazy in love with
crazy
me.
in love.
He was crazy.
He's definitely crazy.
He still is. He's violated 6 more times since that. Well, okay, real quick though, I want to say since he did that order, it overrode CPS's order. So he was not allowed to visit her, even though CPS said yes. So my case is closed with CPS, right? And it's been since March 5th that order was signed. My daughter's been in therapy, and her behavior that we all thought was autism, she was diagnosed with PTSD since birth because of the domestic violence, has changed. I mean, she's like an angel now.
Right.
She's totally different.
And that's all it takes sometimes. That's all it takes to get away from all of that violence, you know, that affect kids in a whole lot of ways. Like a lot of people don't understand that, but what you go through in domestic violence, it falls off on the kids. You know, the kids pick that up, and then if you don't get no help, that's long term, and then they can get in a domestic violence relationship. They experience all kind of health problems, behavior problem in school, and the stuff goes so far on. So at what point did you decide, okay, enough of this shit is enough with this narcissist here?
When she tried to kill herself.
Okay.
Right. And that was.
I had asked for help early in the year from my brother. I need help. I want to stop, but I need someone to help me with my kids. And Peyton was really hard to handle then. And my brother told me, I'm not going to help you so you can just sleep. And I'm like, he forgets where he came from. He has 11 years clean, did a lot of prison time, right? When he was using,
Right.
but he wouldn't help me. You know, his new wife didn't like me, whatever. But I asked for help and I couldn't get away to get help and have to worry about my kids. You know, it was too much. And so it took
Right.
what happened to happen, which I'm grateful that CPS came in, because then I went in detox for a week, you know,
Right.
and then so I am grateful for that part, of course. But I'm not grateful for no one believing me. Like some of the stuff I told you guys, my family is like, you know, some of my friends are all, Jana, you must not be doing enough, because I'd be in prison if I was doing what he was doing. I said, look at my police reports. I am calling every time. Like, so I wasn't believed a lot, and even by my own
Right.
family.
And you know,
So that was the hard part.
a lot of women that experience domestic violence, they go through that, like, people not believing what they say, you know, and especially your family, because for a while when I was in my domestic violence relationship, you know, my family didn't believe it, you know, because they always thought he was the good guy. He was the clean cut guy. He made sure Erica had this and he made sure Erica had this, but they didn't know that, you know, he choked Erica and had Erica pent up against the damn door, you know, so
Because
people
we're the
don't
crazy
know.
ones.
Yeah.
It is. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, people don't know. They don't know that story because they're not there. And I think it's unfair. And that's why a lot of women don't come forward about being in a domestic violence relationship, even down to men. Men are criticized every day about it because you're supposed to be the strong man. You're not supposed to let nobody hit you. But hell, everybody don't raise their hand. You know, everybody don't have that in them to raise their hand. So I kind of get it because of the people always saying negative things about other people in domestic violence relationship. You have to walk in their shoes to know what they go through.
Right.
So as of now, you know, since everything is going on, where are you as far this relationship wise and being off of drugs? You still in detox right now, huh?
No, I have 14 months clean.
Okay,
Almost
good,
14
good,
months.
good. Yes,
Yeah.
good,
I found a
yes.
recovery I found a recovery program that worked for me, and it wasn't the 12 steps, it was Buddhist based, refuge recovery and recovery dharma.
Okay.
Practicing mindfulness. I'm able to sit with my feelings now. I don't have hate for him, but I don't have compassion yet either. So I'm in that
Right.
limbo.
Right.
And as far as our relationship, I've came to terms, you know, with all the fuck ass shit I've doomed on him. I take, you know, in his head. But what I do now is, because of that one judge,
Right.
that judge is amazing. I have been to his
Yeah.
courtroom twice, not on schedule, to say, look, here's a new case they just filed last month. They didn't issue a warrant. They gave him a letter to appear, and he's supposed to be in 2 different courtrooms. That judge issued a warrant within 1 hour, made the city attorney do it, walked out. We went to the last court hearing last month, and they didn't even bring it up. They recalled the warrant. They let him walk out. I was in tears with my advocate. The DA didn't let me get up and speak because the city attorney wasn't there. The DA is who's giving him his deals. And I was so upset. I'm going to Judge Ferguson's room. He was gone for the week. But guess what I found out? I was upset when I left. That judge, the one that I like, was just transferred to the felony courtroom where all Brandon's cases are. And September 30th, he's going to get it good. And I can't wait.
Yay.
Because that
This
judge
Yes.
told him,
September 30th. This September 30th.
yep,
Oh,
that judge
Okay.
told him,
he gonna get his ass handed to him because not
he's like,
only
Yes.
that he know his criminal case, he know the domestic violence part of it too. So he's gonna hand it to him. So what
so
you
this judge
doing?
told him if he violated any time between his next court date, he said, I will make sure every judge here on out knows who you are, and what you've done to this woman and these children. And he fucked up because he
Yep.
got 4 more
Yep.
charges.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I will,
That's good.
you know, and it's good to hear that they getting abusers are getting what they need because some of them are
Finally.
walking away and not even
Yes.
getting charged, not even being nothing. They get away and they go do it to the next person. But you know, I want to say, me and sister, just keep on that journey. Don't give up. You know
Yes.
that what you went through is always light at the end of the tunnel. and
Yes.
just keep up with the kids and keep yourself safe. Always be safe. So before we close out, is there anything that you have to let anybody, or any male or female that's gone through domestic violence, do you have any last words for them?
Don't give up. And it takes just that one person. All it took was that judge, because no officer, no CPS didn't do shit to help me or my kids. All it took was one person, that one judge, to make all the difference, to make me feel like, okay, I'm going to every hearing. I'm going to speak at every hearing, which I've done. I have a 9-page statement to read, and it's not even for sentencing. That's just for the basic stuff I read. And don't give up, because all it takes is one person to hear you out,
Yep.
believe you, and have that not power,
Faith.
but influence to do
Yeah.
something to help you.
Yep, and
Yeah.
have faith in you.
That
Yeah.
So,
man, I'm grateful for that judge, for sure.
Yes.
and if every judge was like that, because that's
Yep.
that's a problem too, that domestic violence women face, victims face, because from the judge to the police officer, they don't believe that domestic violence is more than just hitting. Domestic violence is mentally,
Right.
physically, emotionally
Right.
controlling. It's all of
Financial.
that.
Yeah.
Financial, like, it's all of that. It's just not hitting. Every situation don't have a hitting case. It's always mentally or emotionally. So that's something that needs to be changed. Educating the judge, educating these police officers, like, just educating everybody all around about domestic violence, because it's just not hitting. It's about controlling too, especially
It
financial, because that's why a lot of women don't leave, because of
Yep.
financial situations, because they can't go nowhere, because that person controlling the money.
Yep.
Mhm.
So,
That is very
sister, you
true.
have anything?
I want to say congratulations for being 14 months sober. You are on the right road, and like you're telling everybody, I'm going to tell you the same. Don't give up. If you need some help with anything, you can message us. We can try to do. Because I think that we need to try to figure out how we can start trying to change these laws, because that's
Right.
way too many times that you had to
19
call
times?
and
Shit.
Well,
you go ahead.
that's one thing I did want to say, because I would love to figure out a way. What they're telling me is because the guns and the ammo are felonies, right? And unfortunately, those cases take precedence over the 15 violations of protective orders, because they're only misdemeanors. They literally tell me that to my face. Sorry, but the misdemeanors trail the felonies. So if you have any ideas, and I would be more than willing to do whatever needed to be done to make, I know they're just misdemeanors, but they should be just as important as the felonies. They shouldn't
Right.
Right.
take the
Mhm.
back
Right.
seat. You're
Right.
right
Right.
about the laws, because that's not fair at
Mm-hmm.
all.
It needs to
Mm-hmm.
be
So
changed,
anything you have, I'll help.
Okay. Well,
and even
that's
just bring up ideas to us.
Okay.
We have here at Give a Sister a Hug. We want to look at. We don't want it to be black, white, green,
mm-hmm.
purple. We all sisters. At the end of the day,
Yep.
guess what? When they cut our skin, we all gonna bleed red. So
Right.
we here to make change, to make a difference, to try to
Yep.
bring the positive, try to share light on different topics that's going on.
Yep.
Domestic violence is something that we need to share light on all the time, because there's so many things that can be changed at the end of the day. So,
Yep.
yes.
You're right.
Yep.
So we open to any change, any ideas that you have. Kim works with domestic violence herself. So whatever we could all come together collectively and come up with, hell, let's try
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Because
I
Jana,
it
agree.
takes us, it takes us to, we the one that go, we're the ones that go through it. So then we're the ones that's gonna have to figure out all the loopholes and try to figure out who we can and can't talk to, because and that's what I'm, the problem that I'm having is, I could talk to another nonprofit about it, but then it's like everything is a hush hush. Well, we
right.
don't we
Yep.
can't give you this information, so everything, everything is not Googleable. I know that ain't a word,
So
but
Nope.
Googleable. But it's not. You can Google will have you thinking you're dead in 2 minutes if you keep reading
right.
everything off of Google.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to kind of fandangle yourself and trying to figure out the right and the wrong way. But 9 times out of 10, you done bumped your head 50 times before you done figured out, okay, well, this is what this
And
is.
Google
But
have your
then,
data already.
yeah, and it might
Yeah.
be too late. So it's like,
Right.
this is where, you know, Give a Sister a Hug comes together, because we as women are trying to come together collectively to try to figure out what we can do to change the narrative, to bring awareness to domestic violence, and to stop it, and making sure we have the right police officers, the right lawyers, and the
got my
right,
tattoo.
you know.
For
Oh, you got
awareness.
the. Oh, okay, cool.
That's
That's what I'm
dope.
talking
The
about.
Purple Heart.
Yeah,
Or the
that's what
ribbon.
I'm talking about. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all of what this is. So, you know, again, we are very thankful for you to tell your story. You know, anytime you need to talk, you know, you can message us at any time, please.
Thank
You know, you can join our Give a Sister a Hug Facebook group. You know, it's a private group. So, you know, what stays in there, stays in there. If you need somebody to talk to, that's what we're here for.
Right. And always,
Awesome.
if it's something private, you know, always DM me or Kim. You know, we don't want too much of private stuff out because everybody
Right.
don't feel comfortable. But always, if it's anything that we can do or look up or try to figure out, hell, let's see what we can do.
Awesome. Thank you guys for letting me share my story.
Oh, no
Oh,
problem.
yes,
So we want to say thank you for allowing us to share your story on Give a Sister a Hug platform. So, congratulations to being sober. I'm
Thank
happy.
you.
Let's keep moving and make all the right decisions. Take care of the kids. Take care of yourself. Always be safe, because we don't know when these narcissists feel like they're going to do what they're going to do. So we want to say thanks to everybody for watching Wind Down Fridays or Give a Sister a Hug. I'm your girl, Author Erica. I have my fabulous co-host, Author Kim, with us, and our good sister, Jane, with us, 14
Yes.
years sober. So thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Thank you guys.